philanthropy, contrary to the view of many nonprofits, is a very, very impoverished field. The amount of money in philanthropy relative to the needs philanthropy has to serve is minuscule. And therefore, every philanthropist has to basically decide, do I feed people or do I get them computers, to presumably help them, do a better job of feeding themselves in the future. But it's very hard to make that choice. In our organization, we use a couple of phrases. One is that our currency is contribution, and another is unlikely allies. And what we're trying to get at really is that we cannot, in our view, we cannot make a plausible case for funding technology projects unless we can really make the argument and back it up that we are not just grabbing a piece of a finite pie, but that we're growing the pie. And a huge part of what we're trying to do is to say, yeah, it's about Microsoft's incredible philanthropy with its products and Cisco's incredible philanthropy and the 40 other donor companies that we represent putting their products in play. But if people don't step up and help people use those products and become volunteers, and if we can't show that these people weren't engaged, were not volunteers before, and are now finding their way into civil society, and if we can't show that certain kinds of donors who are responding to needs that are organized around the technological axis who weren't responding before, then we really can't claim to be growing the pie, and we have to be able to show that. So a lot of what we try to do is to bring different constituencies who are engaged with philanthropy, and that's very demographically related. Obviously, digital natives, are different than people who learned about technology late in life. If technology is their route into civil society, well, that seems like a really good thing, and that's something we can encourage. The command and control model that has driven a great deal of very positive social change in traditional philanthropy is really threatened, but maybe in a good way, by models that distribute decision making. And what you get is what in technology is referred to, as I'm sure many of you know, as network effect, which basically means that the value of a network increases as the number of participants in that network increase. 2 fax machines in the world are not very valuable, unless you have one of them. But 200 million changes the face of communication. The same, I think, can be said about philanthropy. Ideas are coming from places that they didn't used to come from. People are able to participate on new levels. Some of their participation is messy, and how does philanthropy deal with that is a really interesting question.